Howdy everyone, it's me once again, the one and only Gilbert Ann. And today, I have another detective film to review for you folks. And it's from this packet app here folks. Again. Yep. Yes sirree. So the one I'm going to be reviewing is the one titled Shoot to Kill. So of course, as usual, I do have to talk about the plot. So let's just get into it, shall we? So in this one folks, being pursued by the police cars fleeing the motor vehicle does crashes into the side of the road. The survival relates to the events that foretold in the story. So let's just say the main character is pretty much in a hot spot, so to speak. So of course, this storyline can involve law enforcement, detective kind of stuff, and whatnot. And I would hate to be the person that I would have to address this, even though I feel like I don't necessarily have to. But there are going to be people out there that's going to be really thinking way too much into this. Just throwing it out there. Since this has some title of shooting in it and whatnot, it has something to do with guns or whatever. While this film does feature scenes and conversation with guns and shooting, I want to clarify that my appreciation for the movie does not mean I would endorse violence or real life gun use. It's important to remember that fictional portrayals are just that, fictional, and should be taken as encouragement for real life actions. Okay, just putting that out there. The presence of guns and action scenes in this movie are just purely fictional and meant for entertainment. They don't reflect my views or support of real life violence. I mean, if you have to defend yourself, then so be it. That's like a whole separate shebang there. I'm not saying you can't defend yourself. But anyway, I did enjoy the film for its storytelling and cinematic qualities, not endorsement of violence. But obviously, it's important to separate fact from fiction, fiction from reality, so on and so forth. But obviously, gunfire and shooting scenes are common, whether it's detective movies, action movies, gangster movies, or film noir, whatever. That doesn't mean I will promote or condemn such behavior outside of a fictional world. Okay, just again, I can't stress that enough. I don't want anybody to be thinking I'm just trying to twist things around and whatnot, which I'm not trying to do here whatsoever. And while I suppose the film's craft, I do believe it's crucial to remember that real life violence does have some serious consequences if it's done in a certain way. And entertainment should be mistaken for encouragement, which, yes, I do realize there are people out there who definitely think that, and they shouldn't be thinking that whatsoever. But yep, here we are. But anyway, I just thought I would clarify that for some moment. I can't stress that enough, even though there are people out there who take this out of context anyway. Because people are really stupid. Really stupid. But anyway, I just want to talk about these kinds of movies and whatnot. Because for one, I like talking about old movies. I know talking about old movies isn't really the most popular thing on YouTube, which I get. But I want to do my own thing anyway. Well, for one, this is my damn channel, and I do what the hell I want. So there's that. And I want to talk about low budget features anyway, because again, that's kind of my shtick. Anyway, we're talking about these old ass movies. Maybe a lot of people don't are not aware of it, quite obviously. But again, it's just my thing. It's just how I would operate here, because I want to talk about things that maybe not a lot of people would speak about really, like at all. Because, well, for one, talking about these old movies, especially the should be made stuff, may not be everybody's cup of tea, which, yes, I realize, but I'm going to do this anyway. Because, for one, I like my old movies. I remember watching these old movies when I was much younger. Yes, you heard me that correctly. I am over 100 years old, which is something I said before, quite obviously. But yes, I am a lot older than what I appear to be. Oh, definitely. I am over 100 years old. I was around since the 1900s. So there's that, folks. Anyway,
But yeah, folks, I just thought I'd talk about these old movies because I remember watching a lot of these old movies when I was much younger, way back in the day. When I would go to the movie theaters, yeah, I would go to the movies quite often, even back then. Yeah, and then sometime later, quite obviously, watch these types of movies on the tube. Oh, definitely will. I like these old type movies, and I know that it's not again not everybody's cup of tea, but that's okay though. But I like the storytelling. It has to be good. That storytelling has to be good enough, I reckon. I do have to realize that it reminds me of the old cinema quite clearly. And I do miss this. I do miss these kinds of movies because, for one, they don't make these movies like this anymore. I know that makes me sound like an old bastard, which I do realize, but you do have to keep in mind. I am an old bastard, so there's that I reckon. And anyway, but yeah, just want to talk about this for one, and like watching old movies, and also how to put a little disclaimer there because just to make this clear, because I know people out there just take this out of context, which a lot of people will. Ugh.
The overall premise is basically going around focusing on these former gangster, whom is to be framed by, let's just say, a corrupted district attorney, so to speak. So he goes around with that kind of thing going on. So, of course, I don't spill too much of the story, really. But that's basically the gist of the film. Why I don't think this was the best example of the film noir nature of films, but I did think it was a pretty solid film. I've seen better detective movies than this, but is it a bad one? I won't say that. It's not horrible, but I kind of wish it could have been better, I suppose. I did enjoy it for what it's worth, I suppose. So at the end of the day, this was a pretty decent one, I suppose. The storyline is pretty much typical. If you're familiar with the film noir detective stuff, this story stuff. This film noir does pretty well considering the budget restraints that this film has, and this is definitely one of those little gems that had been on my list to review, folks. And if you ask me, this is definitely something worth watching, even though this film was made on the cheap. But still, nonetheless, this isn't exactly a bad movie, really. And of course, you can say in the film's own little way, it was trying to be charming. I guess that's fine, I suppose. I like the set designs. The lighting was pretty good, and the overall acting was, I guess you can say, was decent in some ways. So, I mean, this film is not the greatest thing ever made, but at the same time, I've seen far worse than this, so it's a pretty solid film if you ask me. Pretty typical. Is it bad? I wouldn't say terrible. It's not the worst thing I've seen. But I felt like there was potential to be more. That's for sure. There was potential. But yeah, this can be a short review again because, again, this is a short film. It's not that long, really. So in some ways, I guess in this case, it was pretty good. I mean, the fact that it was short. Sometimes keeping movies short works for the film. A lot of people don't understand that really. I know a lot of people nowadays want to see like a 2 hour film or whatever, or a little over 2 hours. But I guess it depends on the movie. I guess depends on the story. But sometimes it's just better to keep things short. Is what I'm saying. So I'm glad about that. So that's definitely a good thing there. I did enjoy it, folks. I mean, it's not. I've seen better. Yes, I've seen better detective movies, sure. But I didn't hate it. It didn't piss me off like some movies nowadays would. But overall, folks, like I said, it's a solid movie. It's okay, I guess. And so, if you're familiar with these types of movies, this ain't nothing new, really. But again, it's not the worst. It's no. But overall, folks, I did enjoy it to some degree anyway. It will get an overall rating of a 5.8 out of 10. It'll get a 5.8 out of 10 from me. And of course, as always, thanks for watching and take care. See ya. Oh yeah.